The monitor screen shows an empty crib, white sheets, slightly wrinkled from where Owen had been lying moments before. A stuffed elephant sits in the corner, its shadow stretched long across the mattress by the night vision's green glow. It's 1:17 a.m., and the house has that particular kind of silence that only exists in the dead hours of night. Then, through the speaker, a voice. Not a cry or a babble or any sound a baby would make. An adult voice, female, speaking in full, measured sentences. The words are muffled at first, but the cadence is unmistakable. Someone is having a conversation, speaking softly as if they're standing right over the crib, comforting a child. But the screen shows no one. The crib is empty. The room is empty. The door, she can see clearly, is closed. Jessica sits up in bed, her heart suddenly loud in her ears. She grabs the monitor, turns the volume up with shaking fingers. The voice continues for another 8 seconds, calm and steady, then stops abruptly, cut off mid-sentence. The room on the screen hasn't changed. Empty crib, closed door. No shadow crossing the frame, no flicker of movement. She checks the camera angle, still aimed exactly where it should be. She refreshes the feed, and the image stays the same. The timestamp reads 1:17 a.m. Her phone says 1:18 a.m. Real time. Not a recording. Not some glitch playing back old audio. A voice speaking to no one in a room where no one should be. Nothing in that room should have been able to move. Jessica and Marcus live in a single-story bungalow on the north side of town, one of those quiet streets where people still wave from their porches and everyone knows when the mail carrier's running late. 3 bedrooms, hardwood floors that creak near the bathroom, a small backyard with a fence they've been meaning to stain. Their son Owen is 7 months old, their first, the kind of baby they had planned for, wanted desperately, and now find themselves utterly exhausted by in the way all new parents are. Jessica works part-time from home, designing logos and websites at the kitchen table while Owen naps. Marcus commutes 40 minutes each way to an accounting firm downtown, always leaving before Owen wakes and returning just in time for the bedtime routine. They rely on structure now more than ever. Wake times, nap schedules, feeding windows. Everything has to have order or the day falls apart. The monitor was a gift from Jessica's sister, one of those high-end models with HD video, 2-way audio, temperature sensors, motion alerts, more features than they'll probably ever use. They keep it on Jessica's nightstand, volume turned low, but never off, the screen glowing faintly through the night. Owen sleeps in the nursery at the end of the hall, a small room with pale blue walls and blackout curtains that never quite block out all the morning light. There's a rocking chair by the window where Jessica sits during late-night feedings, and everything in that room smells like baby powder and lavender from the diffuser Marcus insists helps with sleep. It's a good house, a safe house, or at least it was, but something in their home felt slightly off. It starts with the motion alerts, those little push notifications that light up Jessica's phone at random hours. The app tells her that movement has been detected in the nursery, and every time she checks the live feed, Owen is perfectly still, sleeping soundly on his back. She dismisses it as the sensor being too sensitive, probably picking up shadows from the street light outside or the way the curtain moves when the heat kicks on. Marcus adjusts the settings one evening, lowering the motion threshold, convinced that'll fix it. 2 nights later, the alert goes off again at 11:43 p.m. Jessica checks. Owen hasn't moved. Then 3 nights after that, the temperature sensor does something strange. The app shows the nursery at 78 degrees, which doesn't make sense because they keep the house cool at night, especially for the baby. She walks down the hall, opens the door carefully so she doesn't wake him. The room feels comfortable, maybe even a little cool. She checks the thermostat in the hallway, 68 degrees. She places her hand near the crib, expecting to feel some pocket of warm air, maybe from a vent. Nothing. Just normal room temperature. She reports the issue through the app's support feature, and they suggest recalibrating the device, which she does the next morning. That night, Owen wakes at 2 a.m., and Jessica goes to him like she always does, lifting him from the crib and holding him against her chest until his breathing steadies. As she's laying him back down, she hears it. A faint, static hiss coming from the monitor's speaker, soft enough that she almost thinks she's imagining it. She looks up at the camera mounted on the wall, its small red light glowing steadily, recording, watching. She leaves the room, pulls the door closed softly behind her, and the hiss stops. And then, it happened again, only louder. 1:17 a.m. Jessica awakes without knowing why. That instinctive pull from sleep that parents develop when something isn't quite right. The monitor is on the nightstand, where it always is, the screen glowing its familiar green. She glances at it out of pure habit, expecting to see Owen sleeping peacefully, maybe shifted position, but otherwise fine. And he is. Or at least, he was. The crib looks empty now. Then she hears it, a voice coming through the speaker, soft but unmistakably clear, female, adult, speaking in full sentences that Jessica can't quite make out at first. Her heart kicks hard against her ribs as she sits up fast, grabbing the monitor and bringing it close to her face. The screen shows the nursery exactly as it should be. Empty crib, closed door, the elephant in its usual corner. But the voice continues, calm and measured, like someone speaking to a child they're trying to soothe, not singing, not humming, talking, as if having an actual conversation. Marcus stirs beside her, and she taps his shoulder harder than she means to. He wakes slowly, confused, and she holds the monitor between them so he can hear it too. The voice is clearer now, distinct enough that Jessica can make out the words. "I know, sweetheart, I know." A pause, like someone's listening to a response. "It's all right." Then nothing. Silence. Marcus stares at the screen, his face draining of color even in the dark. "Is that live?" he asks, his voice rough with sleep. Jessica checks the timestamp. Yes, live feed, current time. She refreshes it, and the image stays exactly the same. She stands, her legs shaky, and Marcus follows her down the hallway. They move quickly, but quietly, the way you do when you're afraid of what you might find. Jessica opens the nursery door, her breath caught somewhere in her throat. The room is dark and cool. Owen is in his crib, sleeping on his back, arms stretched above his head in that way babies do. The monitor in Jessica's hand shows the same image she's looking at with her own eyes, but the voice they both heard is gone now, disappeared into the silence of the house. And the footage didn't match what Emily was seeing. The monitor stores everything in the cloud, a rolling 24-hour archive that Jessica has barely looked at since they set the thing up. Now she's sitting at the kitchen table at 2 in the morning, her laptop open in front of her, while Marcus makes coffee neither of them will drink, both too wired to even think about going back to sleep. She opens the app, navigates to the playback feature, and scrolls to 1:17 a.m. Her finger hovers over the play button for a second before she presses it. The footage loads, bathing her face in that familiar green-gray glow of night vision. The crib. Owen sleeping peacefully on his back, his little arms thrown up above his head in that way babies do. The timestamp ticks forward. 1:17:04. Then the audio starts. Faint at first, just barely audible under the white noise the app generates. A voice.
female. The words are even more muffled on playback than they were alive, harder to make out, but unmistakably there. Jessica leans closer to the screen, turns the volume up as high as it'll go. "I know, sweetheart. I know." A pause. The sound of breathing, soft and steady. Then, "It's all right." She plays it again. Marcus leans over her shoulder, his coffee forgotten on the counter. The voice is there, clear as anything, but the video shows absolutely nothing. No movement, no shadow crossing the frame. The door stays closed. Owen doesn't stir. Just that voice, speaking to no one, coming from nowhere. Jessica checks the audio waveform in the app's settings, something she didn't even know existed until now. There are peaks and valleys, visual proof that sound was recorded, that this isn't just in her head. She exports the clip to her phone, saves it twice just to be sure. Marcus suggests they check the other cameras, the one in the living room and the one at the front door. Jessica pulls up both feeds, scrolling to the same timestamp. 1:17 a.m. Living room, empty, dark, undisturbed. Front door, same. No one came in. No one walked down the hall. No one should have been in that room. At the 0:41 mark, something shifts.
Marcus takes over the investigation because that's what he does. He's methodical, analytical, the kind of person who needs to understand how things work before he can accept them. He pulls up the device manual online, reads through the entire FAQ section, searches forums for similar issues. What he finds isn't comforting, but it's something. Reports of baby monitors picking up stray signals, interference from other devices in the area, neighbors' monitors bleeding through on the same frequency, CB radios from passing trucks, walkie-talkies. But their neighborhood is quiet, residential, the kind of place where the loudest thing you hear is someone mowing their lawn on Saturday morning. He checks the monitor's frequency settings, but it's a fully digital device, encrypted connection, direct Wi-Fi to cloud. No analog bleed possible. No crossed signals. Jessica calls the manufacturer's support line and waits on hold for 18 minutes, listening to the same loop of hold music until she's ready to throw her phone across the room. When someone finally picks up, she explains what happened as calmly as she can manage. The representative listens, asks the standard questions. Have you reset the device? Yes. Is your Wi-Fi password protected? Yes. Are there other devices on the same network? Just the normal stuff, laptops, phones, the smart thermostat. Nothing unusual. The representative says she'll escalate the case and asks Jessica to email the audio clip she exported. Jessica does, attaching the file and hitting send before she can second-guess herself. 3 hours later, she gets a response. The audio has been reviewed by their technical team. The file is authentic, not corrupted, not edited, not added after the fact. The voice is present in the original capture from the device itself. But there's no explanation provided. Just a list of suggestions: reposition the camera, check for electromagnetic interference from nearby power lines, update the firmware to the latest version. Jessica tries everything. Marcus checks the breaker box, tests outlets, moves the camera 2 inches to the left. None of it makes a difference. But the timeline didn't make sense. Jessica can't let it go. Over the next 2 days,
She watches the clip dozens of times, listening through headphones, adjusting the EQ settings in a free audio app she downloaded, trying desperately to hear the words more clearly, to find some detail she missed. On the fourth playthrough, she catches something new, something that makes her skin go cold. The voice isn't just speaking, it's responding, answering. "I know, sweetheart. I know." Like someone asked a question. A pause where that question would be, then, "It's all right." But there's no other voice on the recording. No baby sounds, no question being asked, just responses given to silence. Marcus listens too, sitting beside her on the couch with his own headphones on, and she watches his expression change as he hears what she's hearing. The cadence, the tone, it's gentle, comforting, almost maternal, not threatening, not angry, not the voice of someone who means harm, just present in a way that shouldn't be possible. Jessica plays it one more time, this time at full volume without headphones, letting the sound fill the living room. And that's when she hears it. Background noise, so faint she'd missed it every other time. Rhythmic, steady, like breathing, but not Owen's breathing. His is visible on the video, quick and light, the breathing of a baby. This is slower, deeper. Adult breathing, layered beneath the voice like a second track. Marcus rewinds the clip, plays just the audio without watching the video this time. The breathing is there, consistent, overlapping with the words, as if someone is standing close to the microphone, close enough to be picked up clearly. But the microphone is mounted on the wall, 6 feet above the crib, aimed downward. No one could be that close without being in the frame. Jessica saves the file again, backs it up to 3 different places because she doesn't know what else to do with it. What he reached for is still unknown.
2 nights later, Owen wakes at 3 a.m. with that particular cry that means he's not going back to sleep on his own. Jessica goes to him, her body moving on autopilot after months of this routine. She lifts him from the crib, holds him against her chest, feels his warmth seep through her t-shirt. He's fussy, squirming, and she checks his diaper, dry. She offers a bottle. He turns his head away. He just wants to be held, which is fine, which is what she's here for. She sits in the rocking chair, sways gently, and slowly his body relaxes against hers, his breathing evening out. His eyes start to close, that heavy-lidded look that means sleep is coming. Then he lifts his head suddenly, looks past her shoulder toward the corner of the room, the empty corner. No furniture there, no toys, just wall and shadow and the faint outline of the window frame. He stares, and it's not the unfocused gaze of a sleepy baby. It's intent, concentrated, like he's looking at something specific. Jessica turns to follow his gaze, her heart picking up speed. Nothing there, just the corner. She turns back, and Owen is still staring, hasn't blinked, hasn't looked away. She stands, carries him to the doorway, looks back into the room one more time. The corner is empty, but Owen's gaze doesn't shift even as she carries him down the hall to their bedroom. She lays him in the bassinet they keep beside their bed,
The one they probably should have moved back to storage months ago, but haven't. He settles quickly this time, eyes closing within minutes, his breathing slipping into the rhythm of sleep. The next morning, Jessica is changing his clothes, pulling a clean onesie over his head, when she notices something clutched in his tiny fist. A button. Small. White. Plastic. 4 holes stitched through the center. She doesn't recognize it. She checks his clothes. All the buttons are accounted for. She checks the crib sheets, the blankets, even the stuffed elephant. None are missing buttons. She shows it to Marcus over breakfast. He turns it over in his palm, frowning. He doesn't recognize it either. Jessica looks at Owen, who's sitting in his high chair, mashing banana into his face. "Where did you get this?" she asks, knowing he can't answer, knowing it's pointless. But Owen looks at her, his eyes clear and focused, and reaches one small hand toward the hallway, toward the nursery. Then he says, clear as anything, his first real word, "Mama." "Who?" The voice doesn't come back. Not the next night, or the night after that. The monitor functions normally. No more false alerts, no temperature spikes, no mysterious audio. But the house feels different now, like something shifted imperceptibly, and Jessica can't quite put her finger on what changed. She finds herself avoiding the nursery during the day, which is ridiculous, because it's where half of Owen's things are. But she moves his playtime to the living room anyway, changes his diapers on their bed instead of the changing table. Marcus notices, but doesn't say anything, which might be worse than if he did. At night, Jessica watches the monitor more closely than before, checks the live feed every few minutes, scans the frame for anything out of place, any shadow that doesn't belong, any movement that shouldn't be there. She doesn't sleep well anymore. Owen starts waking more frequently, not crying exactly, just awake, alert, and every single time he's looking toward that same corner of his room, the empty one, his gaze tracking something Jessica can't see. She mentions it to the pediatrician during a routine checkup, tries to make it sound casual, like it's not eating at her. The doctor says babies often focus on areas of high contrast, patterns in the wallpaper or the way light and shadow meet. Visual development, totally normal. But it doesn't feel normal. It feels like he's watching something. 2 weeks after the incident, Jessica has started thinking of it that way, the incident, like it's something clinical and distant. She's in the living room folding laundry, the monitor sitting on the coffee table with the sound on while Owen naps. Then she hears it. Not a voice this time, not words, just a soft sound, barely audible, an exhalation, like someone sighing. She grabs the monitor so fast she nearly drops it. The screen shows Owen sleeping, his back rising and falling steadily. No one else. She rewinds the cloud footage, her hands shaking, plays it back. The sound is there, brief and unexplainable, a breath that came from nowhere. Their home hasn't felt the same since.